Hi, in this video, we're going to be talking about 5 specific missions that are in the San Antonio area. These missions are still around today, but they look different than what they looked like back in the 1700s when they were built. And in the last video, I talked to you briefly about the most famous mission in Texas, and that is, dun dun dun, the Alamo. So you might have seen the Alamo before or even visited it, but I don't know if you know about the other ones. So the Alamo is most famous for its battle that happened there later on, but today we're not going to talk about the battle. We're just going to be talking about the mission itself. So the 5 missions of San Antonio were built along the San Antonio River during the 18th century. And the 18th century means the 1700s. They were the largest concentration of missions in North America, so the most in one place. And they were built, like we talked in the last video, to expand the Spanish Empire, to give Spain more power in Texas, and to introduce Native Americans to Christianity and the Spanish lifestyle. So first, we're going to talk about Mission San Antonio de Valero, which, if you recognize it, you know that this today is now called the Alamo, but its name back then was San Antonio de Valero. Mission San Antonio de Valero was the first mission of San Antonio, built in 1718. It is now known as the Alamo, like I just told you, and it was established as a way station between missions that already existed in East Texas and other missions that were in Mexico, so like a stopping point between East Texas and Mexico. And then there was the Battle of the Alamo, fought there on March 6, 1836, and it was already 100 years old at that point. And the mission had been abandoned by the priests and the Native Americans and the soldiers that lived there, so that's how it served as like a base for our soldiers during that battle. The next mission we're going to look at is Mission San Jose. And you can see right here that this looks a lot bigger than the Alamo is. Well, that's because the Alamo, or San Antonio de Valero, was destroyed in the battle. Here, more of this building still exists. It was built in 1720 after being moved from East Texas. So it started in East Texas, then they moved it to San Antonio. It was established about 5 miles down the river from the Alamo by Friar Antonio Margil de Jesus, who started a mission in East Texas, and it wasn't going very well, so he left there. This one was used as a model for other Texas missions because it was very successful, and it served as a stronghold against Native American attacks. Remember, in the last video, I told you that they had to have soldiers there and train the other Native Americans to help them to protect against the Native American attacks. So this was a very strong mission where they were safe from the Native Americans. So this was Mission San Jose. Next, we have Mission San Juan. Look at those beautiful bells up there, the church bells. Remember that these missions were functioning churches. They were communities built around churches. So you see a lot of architecture that looks like you would see in an old-fashioned church with the steeple and the bells and everything like that. So the Mission San Juan is also known as Mission San Juan Capistrano, and it was established in East Texas and then moved to San Antonio River, like the last one, in 1731. So they had a lot of workshops at this mission where they created agricultural, and that relates to plants, so plants and metal products, including iron, wood, cloth, and leather. They had a lot of workshops, like we said, and they were run by the Spanish people, but the Native Americans did the work. Remember, Native Americans worked at the mission in exchange for food and shelter and safety. They also had large ranch lands at San Juan Capistrano with more than 3,500 sheep and cattle. So that was Mission San Juan. Looks pretty. Next, we have Mission Concepcion, and I like how I see these are all built by the Spanish, so you see a lot of the same architectural elements. You see these arches in a lot of them. They're essentially built by like kind of the same people, so that's why they look similar. See, this one really looks like some of the other ones. Okay, Mission Concepcion was built in 1731 after being moved from East Texas like the other two. The chapel inside is very pretty with lots of artwork and sculptures, and it has been preserved, so it still looks like it did 200 years ago. It still looks fancy with the artwork in there like it used to. This mission was a center or a hub for religious activity, and they had many religious celebrations there. And then the outside of the mission used to be covered in brightly colored geometric designs. So it looks like it used to be painted. I would assume that the paint has just worn off after all of those years. I'm not sure why the outside of it no longer has those designs on it, but it's over 200 years old. That's probably why. And now we have Mission Espada. Okay, so here we see the church bells again. Look at that beautiful door. That's amazing to me that they can build it that beautiful in what year was it for this one? 1731. They were able to design that beautiful, intricate door there. So Mission San Francisco de la Espada, that's the whole name of it, like its sister mission San Jose, San Juan, and Concepcion, had its beginnings in East Texas. Originally, it was named San Francisco de los Tejas, and Espada was renamed when it was relocated to San Antonio in 1731, the same year as the other two. It is the southernmost of the chain of missions located on the river. So they're all located on the San Antonio River, but this one is the furthest south. And it has a very attractive chapel with an unusual door and stone entrance archway. So that's what we were talking about there. So these missions actually still exist today. You can go visit them. Many of them are also still functioning churches. So you could attend church there. If you went to a Catholic church, you could go to church there on Sundays or throughout the week. So that's a pretty cool thing that we still have that in history. So these missions did fail. Not everyone in Texas is Spanish or speaking Spanish, and not everyone in Texas is Catholic. So they did not achieve their goal because many people, when the missions were struggling, they sold some of their land to other people, other places. And so when that land went away, then it was people could do whatever they wanted with it. They didn't have to have it for the church anymore. Also, at that time, things were not very clean, and disease spread really quickly. So smallpox and measles spread fast. So that didn't help the missions. And then it was very expensive for the missions to be where they were. There were 36 missions built in total in Texas, but today only 6 are still around. None of the missions serve the same purpose as they did in the past, so obviously they're not still there to convert the Native Americans. The Alamo is the most famous because of the battle, and it is now a museum you can go visit. And the others are churches and are open to the public as National Historic Sites. So, a couple of things you need to make sure you remember. Missions were built to expand the Spanish Empire. Okay, so we need to know that Spain built the missions, that they were self-sustaining, so they could take care of themselves by farming, ranching, and having workshops. Many different people lived there. Some missions are still around today, and also you need to know that the missions were built along rivers because they needed water to help them survive as well. So those are the Spanish missions of Texas.